Oh, okay. Hi, we're now.
Hi, you got me? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
There's a.
So here we are, part two now. So we'll go for another 15, 20 minutes just to keep the file size manageable. Great. So, okay. So we talked
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that.
if you're still interested, we can do a part three too, or whatever. It's just I want to split them so it's the files aren't so big.
Sure. Okay, great. So we got a bit of the scoop on the sea beasties, which is quite fascinating. And it sounds like there's more to come in that space, right?
Yeah, I'm actually developing like a mythology around the whole series of paintings. It might become some kind of children's story.
It
Okay,
could well
it
my
wouldn't really
perspective.
be an adult. I have some adult science fiction. I started an adult science fiction book years ago that I actually need to finish the third part of it. Um, but the sea beasties are something. It's an idyllic world where everybody treats everybody else well. You know, they all get along with each other. There's these worms that you see in some of the paintings, okay, that are like crawling through the paintings. Well, the CBDCs are worm herders, but they don't eat the worms. They just sort of lead them around. Nobody knows why. If you figure out, let me know, okay? I don't know. But it's really tranquil, idealistic world.
Yeah. Well, I'm sold on that. I want to see what comes next. So, I also okay. So I want to come back to some of the other collections you
Yeah,
have as
yeah.
well. So, I looked into the landscapes and cityscapes. So when you were talking earlier, you said that they don't sell well now. So okay, this is me not being au fait or what have you in the art world because I still love landscapes and cityscapes and all that. So I looked in there and I in that particular collection, what struck me was there were three of them in there in particular, and they're all quite interesting. But the ones I thought that I wanted to talk about today were the the one is just a street in Utrecht. Did I say that right?
Yep, yep. Utrecht.
That one's already been sold, but now where's Utrecht again?
Do you
Uh,
mean a boat in Utrecht or the street
the,
there?
the starting with the street one.
Okay, that was a cafe. Yeah, that actually went to my landlord's wife in Springer. She
Okay.
loved it. That painting was started in a cafe in Utrecht, Holland, after a rainstorm. And then I
Mm,
got about 30% into it. I never finish anything when I start it. Okay. My technique involves a lot of glazing and layering colors over other colors. And I don't like working in a rushed manner. It's just not me.
mm.
Okay. So I like being able to bring something back to the studio and work on it. Okay. So I brought that back and actually I finished it 5 years after I started it.
Wow.
But yeah, that one turned out great. I really liked the way that was one of my favorite paintings, and I'm glad it went to somebody who really enjoyed it. That's important for me.
Yes. The other one in that collection, similar theme, is just so I'm just pulling it up on my screen as well to actually look at it again. So you mentioned that other painting there in the same collection, the boat in Utrecht, which is a similar sort of ski. To me, it struck me as quite colorful and bright, and maybe it's realistic. However, it's got a
It's
little bit.
surrealistic
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of in the middle space, in my non-expert opinion, between like realist and full-blown surrealist. So can you tell us a bit more about that one?
Yeah, I'm going to incriminate myself here, but why not? Um,
Okay.
that is a coffee shop in Utrecht. It's a very very famous coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Oh, on the boat.
it's on the boat is the coffee
Okay.
shop.
I
And
see.
when I
Okay.
first started painting again in 2010, 2011, 2012, when I would go to Holland, I spent a lot of time in Utrecht and I would paint on that boat. You know, I'd buy a couple of joints and, a cup of coffee and I'd get a table and sit down and break out my watercolors and my paper and stuff. And they were cool with it. They were like totally awesome. Oh yeah, man. You should do that. That's great. We love it. And I was like, is it okay, if I sit here and spend 4 hours painting? Yeah, 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 go ahead. It's great. The customers love it. It's good for you. I sold some paintings there and stuff. So that's actually outside the boat looking from the north down south on the moat. That's actually the old moat around the city. And
Okay.
across the street, the big wall you see there is the prison.
Okay.
That's actually the city prison in Utrecht. Okay, because it's
See.
right across the street from the boat. And in my defense, I will say the coffee shops are legal in Holland. Okay, it's different. So
Sure. Okay. And well, you made it look so lovely. I wouldn't really know it's a prison. And what's the building with the tower? Is that a church? A bit of a
as I
church.
recall, I don't have the picture in front of me, but yeah, as I recall, that's one of the big. That's the big cathedral there.
Okay. So,
Utrecht has a big cathedral. The half of it collapsed 400 years ago.
oh,
It's very, very famous. Um, I've got other stuff. I've got photographs of it. I've thought about doing other paintings of it. And if I live long enough, I'll eventually get around to it.
right.
We'll have
Okay.
to see.
Well, you got a lot of years ahead. So the other one that I'm partial. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I like the Sunset on the Bay one as well.
Oh,
The
really?
sail. Yeah. So
Okay. That was
yes.
brand new. I just did that in November. That was actually a wet canvas watercolor challenge, and I painted that in 2 nights.
All right.
And Wet Canvas is a famous website for artists. And every month they have a watercolor challenge. And when I'm bored, I do one of their watercolor challenges just to practice, learn, whatever, you know.
Okay. And was this of a real bay, or you painted something
Yeah, there
realistic?
was a photograph. Somebody put up a photograph of a real bay and said, "Okay, here's this month's watercolor challenge," and then 50 artists all paint their version of it.
Cool. Yeah. So that spoke to me, and it also reminded me of the Journey song, or I guess when the lights go down, the city, the sun shines on the bay. So Sunset on the
Oh,
Bay. Just
cool, cool.
like
Yeah, I know the song. That's great, man. Cool.
so that's what struck me about that one. And then the so I mean that's a great collection. I wanted to kind of pick on a couple, select a few options from each parts of the different collections you have. So I'd encourage people to look at the whole landscape collection. Um, I wanted to jump and talk about the drawings. I think is it. I can't tell if that's the one behind you with the screen resolution, but I want tell us about the drawings, especially that Serral Castle. Did I say that right?
Oh, Cyril's Castle. Oh, you mean the pen and ink drawings, the ones in
Yeah,
color.
yeah.
When I first started doing this, one of the things that I did, and I haven't done as much of it lately because I've been painting, but when I first started this back in 2009, I had a bunch of fountain pens with various colors of ink. And I would sit around and draw things. And actually, Cyril's Castle was something I did between classes.
Okay. Oh, was that between classes?
When I was teaching English, I
Uh,
started off my teaching career here in Germany as an English teacher, and then later I got promoted or moved into teaching physics and electronics, analog electronics, digital electronics, programming, and stuff like that.
right.
But that was something I used to do. I used to do these pen and ink drawings between classes, and basically most of those pen and ink drawings that you're looking at, like the on the path thing that's black and white, a lot of those drawings were done years ago in like between 2009 and 2012. I carried around this big bag of fountain colors, fountain pens, and each one of them had a different color. And I still have all of that. It's all sitting up here on the shelf. I got 25 different colors of ink. It's
Right.
really slow producing those things. It takes
Looks
a lot of time and work.
looks quite detailed, and it says a recent work is the door to Kiphauser Gate. Is that a similar technique?
Yeah, that actually started like 8 years ago, and it got finished like a year ago.
Okay.
That's actually from another science fiction novel that I haven't finished writing. And it's only in German. It's not in English, so you can't read it. You
Okay.
can't read it unless you speak fluent German. Um, there is a legend about Frederick Barbarossa, this famous king during the Holy Roman Empire, that he's not dead, that he is sleeping in Kiffhauser Gate, which is near Nordhausen. It's sort of south of the little mountain range in East Germany. And that when all the ravens die in Germany, that Barbarossa will awake and come back to save Germany from whatever trouble faces it.
Mm.
Okay. So I started writing a science fiction novel. I've got about, I don't know, 25,000 words in German written. And what happens is a professor of linguistics goes hiking in the Harz Mountains south of Berlin, and and before that happens, the very first thing is there's something on our nightly news that says all the ravens in Germany have died due to pollution and shit.
Mm.
And then this professor meets these guys that look like they're from Middle Ages Festival, except they're not. It's Barbarossa, his daughter, his political advisor, his chief knight, and another guy, his chief scientist, and they've come back to life. They've woken up in Kyffhauser Gate, and then it's a cultural integration story about what happens when you take people from 1100 AD and suddenly put them in Berlin in 2014.
Mm. I love the interplay between the writing and the artwork, the drawings and the paintings and all. But I think it's a fascinating world that you create, and I think the people, we can all. It's a much richer tapestry that you're creating because you've got the physical, you've got the visual, and then.
For me, okay, one thing you got to understand, for me, there really has to be a story. Okay.
Mm.
The Fachwerk, how is there? The half timber houses in German, that's Fachwerkhause.
Yeah, I was going to try that
That I
pronunciation.
don't really have a story. That's just sort of something to like hang in your home to remind you your trip to Bavaria or something like that. All these other paintings, every single one of them has a story behind it. And
Mm.
for me, it's about storytelling. Okay, whether I write it in words or I paint it, it's always a story.
Mm.
Okay, there's a painting that I need to finish that I'm looking at on the other side of the room you can't see. That was a hike through the Harz Mountains in Tala, and there's going to be some figures from the 30 Years' War in that painting if I ever get it finished.
Mm.
Okay, and they're meeting at a crossroads. There's a painting above it that's a bunch of birds with human faces, and it's who's that famous guy? Ulysses,
Oh,
Odysseus, great Odysseus. It's his perspective looking out of the boat, going through the strait where these monsters are coming down. He wants to hear the song of the sirens. These are the sirens coming out of the sky, and
mm.
this is what he is seeing through his eyes.
Mm.
Okay, every painting that I do has a story behind it.
Mm.
Okay, that's that's really critical for me is that a painting, for me, all the great artists, all the great things that I go down and look at here at the Alta Pinatek or the other galleries here in Germany or in London or Groningen, Holland or whatever, all the really cool paintings have a story. They're all telling a story. Okay. I'm a huge fan of the Bruegels, the Bruegel the Elder and Bruegel der Junge out of Holland. Every painting they have is a story. Oh, this is a town festival. This is ice skating on the pond in 1400. This is what it looked like when the plague came through. Every painting they do is a story. And
Mm.
so I want my paintings to be stories about something. Okay. Like here, okay? You
Yeah,
didn't
that's what I was
mention
going to
this,
ask.
but I don't know if you can you see that painting right there, the painting, the
Yes,
landscape
I was
where
going to
there's
ask
a
about that
river.
one. Yes.
Okay, that was from this mandatory trip to Holland by my doctor. That is looking at Zuiderwolde, which is a town about 15, nah, it's about 10 kilometers northeast of Groningen. And I was sitting there, and another thing you probably don't know about Holland is that mushrooms are legal there.
Right. I had visited once.
Okay. All right. So you know. Okay. So, anyways, you can get psilocybin mushrooms, truffles they call them because they grow underground, but you can get them and you can take them. And like I said, when I was at architecture school, I did a lot of LSD, a lot of mushrooms and stuff. I find that sort of psychedelic experience very inspiring. And so that was my last trip. But I actually looking at it's really cool because I look at that and I was there, I was there at that scene and I got it. I captured it. And
Hmm.
to me, that's really cool because the story there is this is what Chris is seeing while he's having this week off to reconsider his life and is going through this like spiritual experience on mushrooms and stuff. every single painting's got a story like that.
And that's fascinating. You also mentioned just the other day when we spoke, I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about you talk about your technique and your process. You mentioned the other day you were listening to certain music or radio station or something. Is there something you do to kind of get in the zone when you're doing the painting sometimes, or?
I don't know. I definitely have to be in the right mood. Okay. And sometimes I really struggle with that. And sometimes it's just a question of sort of like moving from the chair there to the chair here. This is the painting chair, that's the TV watching chair.
Right.
But as soon as I move from that chair to this chair, it's like the whole world changes. Okay.
Mm.
When I paint or when I draw, it's like meditation. It's like being in another world. Um, I don't listen to a lot of music usually when I paint. It's usually quiet.
Mm.
If I do listen to music, it's usually something medieval, or it's classical music or jazz or something. It's almost never modern music, although I do have one series of modern music that I created that I listen to on YouTube that I sometimes paint to. Now, when I was younger, when I was in architecture school, oh yeah, I had a Walkman and I'd spend 24 hours listening to Pink Floyd or something while I was building or designing or painting, and probably tripping my what off. And but today, no, today I strongly prefer to be absolutely straight, um, absolutely 100% focused on what I'm doing. And after a certain point, it just sort of flows. It just comes right out of me. I don't even have to think about it after a certain point. It's just like I know the next right thing to do. The other
Mm.
thing I have a good collection of art supplies here, and I guard that with my life. I've got enough watercolor paper to last me for 2 years. I've got enough canvases and boards to last me for 2 years with oil painting. Um, I've got a bunch of oil paintings I desperately need to finish, and it feels like a huge weight on my shoulders. I need to work on these things.
Mm.
I've got a bunch of really high quality brushes, paints. Okay, I don't buy any cheap stuff. I have learned the hard way. I learned one of the things we learned in architecture school: never buy student grade, never ever buy student grade art supplies. Only buy professional grade artist and draftsman supplies. There's a reason you use that, and it's true. If you buy a tube of watercolor paint that's 15 milliliters that's student grade and it costs you €3, and you buy one 15 milliliters that's professional grade that costs you €12, the student grade will be gone before the professional one is, so it's a false economy. See what I'm saying? And the professional grade colors are just 1,000 times better. You mentioned earlier about the brightness of my colors. I really like electric color. I hate pastels.
Mm.
My world is not pastel.
Mm.
My world is these extremely electric, bright colors. Okay? Even when I'm like walking down the street, that's what I see. Okay? Nothing pastel about the world or my life.
Mm.
Nothing at all. So I want bright reds. I want vibrant blues. I want greens that feel like it's electric shock. I want strong color because that's who I am. And so, you buy the best quality art supplies you can buy. I buy Old Holland paint, Sennelier, um, Rembrandt from Tollins is one of my favorites. I really found that I like the Schmenke from Germany is really good. These are all like the top brands in the world, okay?
Mm.
And lately I've been really happy with the St. Petersburg White Knights watercolor paints out of Russia.
All
Um,
right.
I use those, and they're like Old Holland. They're just so densely loaded with pigment. The color just explodes like a bomb, man. It's like an IED going off.
So I'm gonna suggest that we pause and then
All
reconvene
right,
for part three.
all right. That
I'll,
sounds like a
I'll, let-
plan.
I'll let you pause
All
us.
right, I'll let you call me back. Give me about 5 minutes. I need to go to the little boy's room.
Sure.
All right,
Ciao. Thanks.
ciao.